One of those attackers on January 6th name is Troy Sargent. He stormed the Capitol and he's asking for a judge to take it easy on him. In fact, his mother has joined in on this. She says, take it easy on Troy. He's just been radicalized by the former president. That's all. Let's go to some details of what they think will get him off the hook. He's been sentenced to 27 months in prison. They're recommending this sentence of 27 months in prison, but this is the reason why his mother says that's too harsh. Maybe you guys should rethink this. Here's what she said. Troy now sees that his beliefs about Trump were off base, and that while he supported Trump, Trump did not support him at all. Big revelation. He was used among with many others to create energy and momentum for a political cause that had no merit, says his mother. Troy's mother then told the judge that her son had been radicalized online, and as his mistrust in mainstream beliefs grew, he was drawn closer to conservative media outlets and misinformation sites. She added that her son bombarded friends and family with conspiracy theories and set up a Pittsfield 411 Facebook page to quote, educate followers about his views. He was really entrenched with this, with how he was sold on this lie. There's more. He would send me numerous videos and ask me to watch. This constant attempt to bring these messages to me and to the general public was certainly annoying. I hate to admit it, but inviting Troy to family events was fraught with worrying about how passionate he will be with his latest belief, the nonsensical beliefs. Troy's mother then said that all changed after January 6th, after that attack on the Capitol, and he expressed remorse for attending the demonstration that turned deadly, and that he had dropped his macho facade. Of course he did. Prosecutors were listening to this and they're like, come on, please, calm down, because they had other thoughts. The defendant was cautioned, do not start attacking people, prosecutors wrote in their court filing. Immediately after that, the defendant tried to strike the same victim officer again with his open hand. And the defendant understood both strikes as an attempt to inflict injury upon another, saying that he punched the officer as hard as I could right in his visor. And I quote, I got 2 hits in on the same rookie cop and then he maced me. Thus, Sargent committed a felonious assault. That's what the prosecutors were saying. But also cops weren't the only folks that Sargent was hitting during that time when, I'm not sure if it was in the middle of the attack, after he punched someone in the face and said, I got him twice, when this whole thing flipped in his head. As one police video shows Sargent among a large group of rioters facing off against a line of police officers. And another video shows Sargent appearing to attempt a punch at a police officer, but inadvertently hitting another member of the crowd before retreating back into that crowd. Again, Sargent's 38 years old. He's been radicalized by Donald Trump. His mom is pleading for some kind of leniency because he's just young and trying to figure these whole things out, you guys.
So look, this puts me in a position where I'm a little torn as a progressive because we're do-gooders. And is it true that the kid, he's 38, right? But the guy was manipulated by Trump and right-wing media? Of course, that's of course absolutely true. On the other hand, so has 35% of the country, about 100 million people. So that doesn't give you the right to go around punching cops because Trump didn't win the election. So should he be prosecuted? Of course, you have to suffer the consequences of your actions. And look, what are we having a debate about this? Imagine if a black guy had punched a cop in the face a couple of times. Would we be having a debate about whether he should be prosecuted? You know how that would go. And if he was lucky enough to tell the story and survive that incident, these guys all survived the incident. So that's clear. But Trump, of course, did betray them, and he never did mean any of it. And look, you guys probably have somebody in your family like this. In my case, I still have family in Turkey. And by the way, this is an interesting point that this happens everywhere. Every country has a Trump-like figure, and in every country, anywhere from 25 to 35% of the country follows him like he's their cult leader. And in Turkey, it's Erdogan. He's also right-wing, he's also fundamentalist. It's the same exact playbook. And I have a cousin who believes in Erdogan. And so when I was reading her stuff, it reminded me a little bit of our situation. Do you invite him or don't you invite him? Because he's gonna come in and tell you blah, 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 blah on how great Erdogan is and how you should be a fundamentalist Muslim. And he always has conspiracy, and it's the same thing. Everyone in that camp also loves conspiracy theories. Isn't it amazing how similar it is? So these folks are being manipulated, and they're being manipulated by con men because Erdogan, Trump, they don't believe in their religions. They're just doing it for the money and the power. So I guess where I come out on it, Sharon, is as a progressive, I'm allowed to have a little bit of sympathy as I still send you to jail.
I think you got it exactly right. And I'm a mother, so God forbid that's my kid. But I would support them. I'd try to get them out of it. I try to get them help, I would think, before that. But the mother's timeline is just off to me. She says, as soon as he got back, the macho's gone, he's remorseful. And the truth is, the remorse to me, I believe, starts when his buddies see the body cam footage and tip off the feds. That's when he's remorseful. And I also think the way to break him of this is harsh punishment, okay? The same manipulation also said rule of law, wanted to punish people for just marching in the streets. So he should be hit with the rule of law, and that can be an example for himself and others.
I guess they're throwing everything that they can at them because his mother had those points about how he's been radicalized by Donald Trump and it's not really his fault. Albert Watkins, he's an attorney for the QAnon shaman, one of those guys that ran up in the Capitol, as you remember, with the head dress on. This was his defense. See if you can make some sense of this. He said a lot of these defendants, and I'm gonna use this colloquial term, perhaps disrespectfully, but they're all effing short bus people. Talking about the people he's defending.
Wow.
There are people with brain damage. They're on the spectrum, but there are brothers, sisters, neighbors, our coworkers. They're part of our country. These aren't bad people, and they don't have prior criminal history. They were subjected to 4+ years of propaganda and the likes of which the world has not seen since Hitler. All these folks are saying this, they've been saying it ever since these folks got arrested, some of which got arrested and ended up in these situations. How Donald Trump did this to me. I can't believe he did this to me. Can you believe he did this to me? Should not be let off the hook because he did this to me. But I wonder if those same folks are arguing that Donald Trump should maybe see some consequences for what they're saying he then did, which he did, which they agreed to do. And I like your point, Jake, about whether or not, if you see a bunch of folks that aren't seen as supporters of maybe a big political leader on the Republican side, if someone just runs up and punches a couple cops in the face, how many folks are going, you know what? I think he just got brainwashed by his buddies to go do it. Come on, man.
Yeah, and there's a reason why anybody does any crime. And I'm not saying that there's a good reason for it. Oftentimes it's a very bad reason, right? But when regular folks do crime, nobody does encyclopedic research on why they did it and how we should have sympathy for them. But when the right wing does it, all of a sudden we all are shedding tears and worrying about propaganda and how they got influenced and brainwashed, et cetera. And this whole time, I mean, look, the shaman QAnon guy, the guy with the horns that we just showed you, his lawyer's saying that Trump is doing Hitler-like propaganda. That's pretty strong, right? But you get the sense that not only the rioters, but the right wing has disavowed Trump and said, well, of course Trump was doing propaganda, and that's why these poor guys did it. And of course, Trump shouldn't have had them attack America's capital. No, they don't acknowledge that part. So if they acknowledge that part, then okay, you know what? Then we're having a conversation about mercy, right? But outside of one lawyer and one mom, I don't see it at all. So if you're not gonna acknowledge that you try to basically do a coup and your leader hates America and wants you to attack it, then I don't see why we would have any mercy or show any lenience when they certainly wouldn't show it to us.
Absolutely not, man.
Okay.
Not at all. Throw the book at him. They could throw the book at him at this point. I mean, I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of hearing their sob stories.
And it's 27 months, Sharon. 27 months. This is what they're complaining about, bro. You could have gotten more than that.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.